Hello, my charmed ones, and welcome back to my channel for another video. And if this is your first time with me, I would like to say welcome. My name is Alexis, but I'm also known as MissTrenchcoat all across the internet. I help overwhelmed women manage their time, energy, and expectations so they can get all of their big thoughts, dreams, plans, and ideas out of their head and onto paper so they can get down to business creating their dream life. So if that sounds like you, then you are in the right place. Make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and go ahead and give this video a like because I'm going to be sharing some simple but effective tips that you are going to want to put into place in your life in today's video. In today's video, I want to share with you 5 rules that I use to keep my email inbox clear. So the idea of reaching email inbox zero is something that I talk about often here on my channel and on my other platforms. So if you're not following me on places like Instagram or my blog, make sure you're checking me out elsewhere because I do a lot more than just my weekly videos. So the idea of email inbox zero is something I talk about often because I feel like it's one of those productivity success tips that applies to essentially everyone. I think all of us have a problem with too much email in this day and age. And I think for many of us, we often have like more than one email inbox. I think for a lot of us, you may very often have like a personal inbox and a business inbox at the very least, plus like who knows, like situations where I'm sure people have even more for maybe their various other things that they are engaged in, maybe community activities and hobbies and all that fun stuff. So with all of these emails coming in and like clogging up our inboxes, it can often become a very overwhelming task to go in and manage our email. But because our email is like a primary way that we tend to talk with certain people, it's really important, especially for like work or business emails, that we're keeping that email inbox as clear as possible. So I've already done an entire video on how I reach email inbox zero. I have a whole bunch of great tips. I'm going to go ahead and leave that specific video linked down below for you guys to go ahead and check out in the description box. But today I wanted to kind of add a couple of more rules that I just tend to follow, some best practices that I use when it comes to managing my inbox, because I do feel like it's great to go in and follow the prescribed process that I gave you in that other video for reaching email inbox zero on a regular basis. But I do think there are things that we can do every day and practices we can get into, rules we can kind of follow in our own life to kind of keep our inbox managed in the meantime, right? When we haven't gotten down to zero. So those are the tips I want to share with you today. So the first tip I want to share with you is do not leave your email inbox open while you are working, while you're at your computer, at your desk, wherever you are. Do not leave it open. And the reason I say this is because I think that email can be a very big distraction for us. So if you're someone who already kind of struggles with getting focused when you're working and, sticking to working on your task list and getting things done, if you're someone who's easily distracted, I think it's a really good idea, a really good practice for you to just keep your email client closed and do not have any alerts for it, set on your computer. So you don't want to be able to hear a ding every time an email hits your inbox. That can be very distracting. Instead, what I think you should do is set maybe 2 times in your day to be part of your schedule for you to sit down and look at your emails and process through them. So maybe one time in the morning, like maybe when you first get into the office or you first get to work, and then one time in the afternoon, maybe a little bit, maybe an hour or 2 before you're wrapping up for the day, right? I think if you can set those 2 times and keep your inbox closed outside of those 2 times, I think you're going to end up being much more focused when you're sitting at your computer because you're not going to have like a bombardment of constant emails hitting you and really just sucking away your time and attention. Now, I do want to give one caveat for this, which is if you are someone whose job relies on having your email inbox open and being there to actively reply to emails. Maybe you're in a customer service role, maybe you're in some sort of administrative position where you're receiving requests throughout the day that you have to be on top of, then obviously this tip doesn't apply to you. But if you're someone else, anyone else who does not necessarily need to be in their inbox at all times to watch out for requests or work or things like that, then I think, keeping your time in your inbox to a minimum with those like 2 times per day sort of schedule is going to be optimal for your productivity and for you to batch work on your emails as necessary. So that is rule number 1. My second rule for managing your email inbox is to sort your emails and read through your emails oldest to newest. Now, I think for a lot of us, our email client might actually be set up so that we see the newest emails first. They're on top. But I think that if we actually go in and process emails from the top bottom, so earliest to latest, what I think we're doing is we have an opportunity to miss older emails or miss opportunities to take action on older emails that might actually have like a shorter time frame for completion. So essentially what I think you should do is just swap your inbox setting. This should be really easy. On my client, I use Apple Mail on my MacBook, and I can go ahead and sort my emails from oldest to newest. That way I'm dealing with requests and emails that have been in there the longest, right? Who had to wait the longest. I'm dealing with those first and processing those first. So I think that if you kind of make that one little switch, I think it can help you to avoid, having a situation where there's a lot of urgent requests or fires you have to put out, because you're going to actually start from oldest to newest. And if you already do this, awesome. You are already on your way to email inbox success. But if you don't, I think you should get started with that. I think it's a really important rule to follow so that you really are as productive as possible when it comes to doing work from your email. Rule number 3 is not to just delete junk emails, but also to go ahead and take that one extra step of unsubscribing. So I know a lot of us are subscribed to a lot of different mailing lists, maybe for our favorite stores and places that we shop, or just places where we're getting other information and entertainment online. But I think for a lot of us, I would say, you get those emails. If you're anything like me, you get those emails and you see them and you're like, okay, I don't care. Like delete, right? Like when you're processing all of your emails, you're processing through your inbox. My first inclination is always delete. And what I tend to notice is that if I'm deleting the same email over and over and over again in terms of from the same place, right? From the same sender, off the same email list, then I really feel like I should just go ahead and hit unsubscribe, right? Like just remove myself from that email list, because what it's going to do is just cut back on emails to begin with. Now, I know a lot of us do stay on email lists. I tend to do this as well for stores that I shop at, places where I know that coupon codes are coming and things like that I want to be made aware of. But I also think that we can go ahead and just opt ourselves out of those emails if they're not really adding value to our lives. And then we can always resubscribe later, maybe closer to the holidays or around times where you know that sales are going on, right? So maybe you don't necessarily need to be subscribed to, such and such a store all year round. You can just go ahead and unsubscribe if you're not getting value from those emails, instead of having to repeatedly just delete and just have it clogging up your inbox. Nothing says that you can't, add yourself back into an email list, right? That's what they're for. You can always get back on an email list, but I think it'll save you a lot more time and energy if you're just not getting the emails to begin with. Okay, so rule number 4 is if you open an email and you have the ability to respond to it in just a few minutes or less, right? There's nothing you need to do. You can just go ahead and respond to that email. I recommend that you write that response immediately before moving on to your next email if you're processing like emails in bulk, right? So something that I used to have a big problem with, and I'm kind of like using these rules to keep myself in check as well, was that I would open an email and I would read it and I would say, okay, I can respond to this, but I'm not going to do it right now, right? It was an easy response. I could have just hit reply, but I didn't. I said, okay, let me see what other emails I have before I start replying, right? And what would end up happening with me is ultimately I would get distracted later on in my inbox, and I might forget to come back to that email where I've opened it, right? But I haven't actually responded, even though it was a quick response, right? So I think establishing this rule with yourself, this like best practice with yourself, that if you open an email and you have the ability to respond to it right now, just do it right now so you don't have to worry about it, right? And I think that's going to help you to miss, fewer email responses, especially with easy things, right? Like when there's just like a few lines that you need to reply back, really there's no reason why we shouldn't just act on that right now before we get ourselves involved with the next email. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes my next email could really be a rabbit hole that like totally throws me off track. So it's good for me to just quickly process the emails I can process while I'm looking at them, right? So I don't have to remember anything. I don't have to put them on the list. I can just reply and they're done. Okay, and then rule number 5 for achieving email inbox zero, email inbox management, is if you are someone who does prefer to read all of your emails before you actually process through them, if for whatever reason email number 4 is not something you feel like you can really do, then I would recommend using a color coding system in your email inbox using flags. So for a lot of us, our email clients have the ability for us to flag an email. And a lot of times there's like all different colors of flags that we can use and create our own color coding system. Now, if you're someone who like does not tend to remember your color coding system, I would recommend that you use what I call the stoplight method for color coding your items. So stoplight as in like stoplights while you're driving in the US at least. Green means go, yellow means like caution, slow down, like get ready to stop, and red means like hard stop, like stop moving. So if we use this and apply it to our email inbox, we could say that emails that we do have the ability to act on immediately, like we could reply to immediately. Maybe you're even using that rule number 4 and you're going to reply to emails very quickly that have just like a 1 or 2 sentence reply, but maybe there's some where you have to maybe write a little bit more. And so you want to like flag it for later. Flag those ones green if they're good to go. Like if you know that you could just sit down and write the email response, flag those green. If there is a task that you have to do before you can reply, flag those emails yellow, because that's going to tell you caution, hold on, there's something you've got to do really quickly before you can actually follow through with the response on this email. And then I think you might know where I'm going with this. If it is an email where you cannot right now take any action, perhaps you're waiting for something from someone else, or it's just not something that you can reply to and respond to immediately, use the red, right? So you're going to use the red flag. So that's a way that you can just quickly color code, organize your email inbox so that you know which emails are good for you to go ahead and proceed to answer, which ones you might have to do a task, run a report, call someone, get an answer, look something up, etc. before you can reply. And then emails in red could be emails where there is a reply that you need to give, right? But you are not in the position to be able to take the action. Maybe it is dependent on someone else giving you information or a project being, finished. You're not able to actually take immediate action to get the reply. So use that easy color coding system if you're like me and tend to use color coding flags and then totally forget what the colors meant. That's just an easy way to kind of like remember them. So I hope that these 5 rules help you to establish some best practices when it comes to interacting with and managing your own email inbox on a day-to-day basis. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and feel free to share it with any friends, family, or coworkers that you know are struggling with managing their email, because who doesn't love really great productivity advice, right? And of course, if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.